My name is Mason Walker. I'm 41 years old, and for 12 years I thought I had a solid marriage. On paper, it looked that way. I'm a landscape architect in Denver, yards, rooftop terraces, commercial plazas. If you've seen a clean line of stone cutting through a bed of ornamental grasses in certain parts of the city, there's a chance I signed off on it. Harper, my wife, worked as a corporate event coordinator for a big-name firm downtown. Her life was ballrooms, VIP lists, and crises in heels. We made a decision early on: no kids. Not maybe later. Not we'll see how it goes. Just a straight mutual agreement. We wanted to travel, work, sleep in on weekends, spend money on flights and good food instead of daycare and diapers. People would ask when we were finally starting a family, and we'd trade the same practice smile. "We're good," we'd say, and we meant it, or I did. Our life ran on rails. I'd be home most evenings by 6:30, dirt still under my nails from job sites. She'd arrive later, sometimes 7:30, sometimes 8. Coat over one arm, phone still in her hand, talking about a caterer who screwed up or a client who changed their mind on centerpieces at the last second. Dinner was our one fixed point. Sometimes I cooked, sometimes she grabbed takeout on the way home, sometimes we ordered in and didn't bother with plates. We'd eat at the island, knees brushing, talking about our days in broad strokes. The AV guy almost tanked me, but I fixed it. Client wanted a water feature, then decided they don't like the sound of water. We'd laugh, clink glasses, move on. After that, it was autopilot. 2 or 3 episodes of whatever show we were rotating through. Phones in hand but not hidden, trading memes, half watching, half scrolling. Weekends meant trying new restaurants, hitting a brewery, or having friends over for those kinds of curated nights, charcuterie board, craft beer, smart conversation. We were the good couple in our circle. No screaming matches. No dramatic exits. No one ever stormed out and slept on a friend's couch. I took that as proof we were solid. If we disagreed, it was quick and clean: what color to paint a room, how much to tip a lousy server, whether we really needed another weekend trip. One of us would shrug, the other would compromise, and that would be the end of it. No lingering tension, no big emotional postmortems. I told myself that meant we were mature, functional, past the childish drama other couples seemed addicted to. Looking back, I can see all the blank spots where real conversations should have been. But back then, I thought I knew my wife better than anyone on earth. I thought predictability was the same thing as trust. I had no idea how wrong I was. The night it really started, I was just the husband in a suit, holding a drink that tasted like nothing. The Grandstone Hotel downtown is the kind of place that makes you stand up a little straighter when you walk in. High ceilings, polished marble, lighting so soft it feels expensive. Harper lived for nights like this. 150 executives and VIPs, all gathered in a ballroom that looked like a magazine spread. Round tables in perfect rows, white tablecloths, low floral arrangements in glass bowls, candles flickering without smoking up the room. I remember standing in the doorway for a second, just watching her move. Navy dress, fitted but professional. I'd never seen it before. The fabric caught the light every time she turned, like it was made to be photographed. She glided between tables, touching shoulders, checking place cards, putting out small fires with a smile and a quick word. This was her element. I felt a kind of quiet pride watching her run it all. People shook my hand all night. "You must be Harper's husband. She's a star. You're a lucky man." I'd nod, smile, agree. I believed every word. That was the first night I really noticed Garrett Mitchell. Tall, silver hair, the kind of tailored suit that doesn't come off a rack. I knew the name already: Garrett this, Garrett that. Big client. Important account. "We need to impress him," she'd said more than once, usually while half distracted, tapping details into her phone. I saw him before she introduced us. He was already watching her. When the band started playing, the tone of the room shifted. Less business, more champagne. Harper sat down at our table for the first time in an hour, took a sip of wine, exhaled like she was finally allowed to breathe. Then Garrett walked over. "Harper," he said, offering his hand. "They're wasting this band on people sitting down." She glanced at me, just a flick of her eyes, quick and unreadable. Go, I said, because that's what you say. You've earned it. She smiled, stood, and let him lead her to the dance floor. One song, I told myself, just hospitality. She moved well, confident, easy, laughing at something he said. His hand stayed in the safe spot, upper back, nothing you could screenshot and call inappropriate. Then the first song bled into a second. Then a third. Her body language shifted in inches, not miles. She leaned in a little closer when he spoke. Her hand rested on his shoulder longer than it needed to. She laughed the way she laughs with friends, not clients. Head tilted back, hand on his arm. I stood by the table, drink in hand, face neutral. Anyone looking at me would have seen a relaxed husband watching his wife work the room. Inside, a small knot formed in my gut. I tried to talk my way out of it. She's networking. He's a major client. This is her job. Don't be that guy. Every married man knows that internal lecture. But there was a looseness in her posture I'd never seen on a dance floor with a client. Comfort. Like this wasn't the first time they'd done it. When the song finally ended, she stayed close to him for an extra beat before stepping back. That knot didn't go away. It just sat there, low and heavy, waiting for an explanation I didn't have yet. She came back from the dance floor with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. You okay? I asked. Fine, she said, touching my forearm. Catering crisis. I need to deal with it. I'll be right back. She squeezed, let go, and disappeared into the moving crowd of suits and dresses. At first, I didn't think anything of it. Event work is chaos with good lighting. I checked my phone, finished my drink, and watched the band roll through another song. 10 minutes passed, then 15. I checked the time again. No text. I stood, told myself I was just stretching my legs, and took a slow lap around the ballroom. Food stations, bar, photo area, restrooms. No Harper. I checked my phone again. Nothing. I sent a text. Everything okay? No answer. I tried calling. Straight to voicemail. The knot in my stomach tightened. I did another pass, this time a little faster, scanning faces, corners, side doors. She was nowhere. I stopped near the back wall, pretending to study one of the floral arrangements she'd picked. My mind started doing math it didn't want to do. Where is she? Why no phone? Where's Garrett? I scanned the room again and realized what was missing. His silver hair, his perfect suit, gone. That's when the knot turned to ice. I stepped out into the hallway, away from the noise, and followed the signs to security/admin. The carpet swallowed my footsteps. My heart didn't. The security office was a cramped room with monitors stacked in a grid and a stocky guard behind the desk. He looked up, bored, until he saw my face. Evening. Problem. I kept my voice level. My wife's running the event in the ballroom. I think she might have gotten sick or something. I've been trying to reach her, no luck. Could you check if she left the floor? Just want to make sure she's okay. He hesitated, then nodded. Name? Harper Walker. Navy dress. He typed something, then pulled up a camera feed of the ballroom hallway, scrubbing back a little. There she was, Harper, walking fast, not frantic. Garrett fell into step beside her like it was rehearsed. They headed toward the elevators. Back it up, I said quietly. He did. We watched them again, this time slower. She hit the elevator button. The doors opened. They stepped inside together. Garrett's hand settled low on her back, fingers just inside the line of what you could explain away. Can you switch to the elevator cam? I asked. He clicked. We watched them ride in silence. She was laughing, not nervous, not stressed, just laughing. The elevator stopped at the 10th floor. They got out, walked down the hall. Another camera picked them up. They stopped at a door. Garrett slid a keycard, held it open. She went in first. He followed. The door was closed. End of footage. The guard shifted in his chair. You want me to? No, I said. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Flat, controlled. That's enough. I stood there for a second, looking at the frozen image of a closed door on the screen. The hurt was there, raw and loud, but something colder slid in front of it like a shield. I didn't storm upstairs. I didn't pound on the door or make a scene in a hallway I'd never walked down before that night. I thanked the guard, walked out, and left the hotel without saying a word to anyone. Humiliation burned, but under it, something else was forming. Sharp, steady, and patient. I wasn't going to guess anymore. I was going to know. I don't remember most of the drive home. I remember the dashboard glow, the feel of the steering wheel under my hands, and the way my mind had already shifted from shock to structure. I knew two things. She'd crossed a line she couldn't uncross. I wasn't going to give her a screaming match she could twist into. We were both emotional. At home, I showered, changed, and got into bed. I didn't turn on the TV. I just lay there on my side, eyes closed, breathing slow and even. Around 2 in the morning, I heard her key in the lock. The front door opened, closed. Heels off, soft footsteps, the quiet of someone trying not to wake a sleeping husband. The bathroom light clicked on, sending a thin slice of brightness under the bedroom door. The shower started. I lay there listening to the water run over a body I just watched walk into a hotel room with another man. My fists were closed under the blankets, nails digging into my palms. Every instinct in me wanted to sit up, demand an explanation, make her look me in the eye. I didn't move. She slipped into the bedroom a few minutes later, smelling like hotel soap and perfume. The mattress dipped as she slid under the covers. She lay on her back for a while, then shifted closer, like she always did, just inside my space but not touching. I kept my breathing steady and let her believe I was asleep. In the morning, the act changed but the play stayed the same. She was at the counter making coffee, hair in a loose knot, wearing a t-shirt and shorts. "Last night was insane," she said, rolling her eyes. "Catering almost tanked us. I was putting out fires until 1. I leaned on the island, mug in hand. "Where were you when you disappeared?" I asked, voice calm. "Texted you. Didn't hear back." She didn't even blink. "Vendor crisis on another floor. No service. I came back and you were gone. I figured you were tired." The lie came out smooth, practiced, like she'd run it in her head on the drive home. I nodded slowly, like I bought it. "Yeah. Long night." Something in me went quiet then. Not numb, just done. By noon, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to argue with a woman who could stand in my kitchen and rewrite reality without a stutter. I was going to get proof. By 9 that same morning, I'd already made the first real move. I called a lawyer friend, Tom. Told him I needed someone discreet, fast, and not sentimental. He didn't ask why, just gave me a name and a number. Ron Bailey met me that afternoon at a quiet cafe a few blocks from my office. Mid-50s, compact, gray at the temples, eyes that missed nothing. Navy polo, worn leather jacket. No theatrics. "You're Mason," he said, sliding into the booth across from me. "Yeah." He didn't offer small talk. "Tell me what you've got." I laid it out clean. The event, the grandstone, the dancing, her disappearing, the security footage, the elevator, the 10th floor, the suite. He didn't interrupt, just took a few notes on a yellow pad. When I finished, he nodded once. "Names? Harper Walker. My wife. Corporate event coordinator at Hartman Strategic Events. The guy is Garrett Mitchell. Client. Big one." Ron tapped his pen. "You want to know if this was a one-off or a pattern?" "I want to know what my last 12 years have really been," I said. "And I want it on paper." He studied me for a second like he was checking for weakness. "If there's something to find, I'll find it." 5 days later, we met again. Same booth. He slid a thick manila envelope across the table. "No ceremony. It's not a fling," he said. "It's a schedule." Inside was my marriage reduced to documentation. Photos, hotel invoices, credit card statements, printouts of text message logs he'd managed to pull from backups and third-party records. A clean, brutal timeline. 8 months. 8 months of client dinners, late-night vendor meetings, and site checks that just happened to end at hotels around the city. The Grandstone, the Fairmont, a boutique place in Low-High. Different locations, same pattern. Check in within half an hour of each other, same floor, same room. And then the money. Room charges run through her corporate card. Dinners for two, not one. Spa packages. Room service bills that didn't look like a solo meal. Gifts from high-end shops, billed as hospitality. It added up to just over $25,000. Company card, Ron said. Consistent misuse. No approvals matching these expenses. This isn't bad judgment. This is fraud. I kept flipping pages until I hit the last piece. Garrett Mitchell's background check. Married, 22 years. Wife, Elena Hartman. I knew that last name. Same Hartman as your wife's boss, Ron finished. More than that. Majority owner. Founding partner. She owns the company. Garrett married into the money. She kept control. I sat back, the picture finally snapping into focus. This wasn't just my wife cheating. This was my wife stealing from the woman who could erase her career with a phone call. And for the first time since I'd watched that elevator door close, I felt something close to clarity. This wasn't just betrayal. This was leverage. Once I knew who really held the keys, the next step was obvious. I went home, sat at my desk, and opened a fresh email draft. No rage, no long speeches, just clean language and facts. I created a new burner account. No name, no link to me. Then I started typing. Subject: financial irregularities and code of conduct concerns involving key executives and clients. I laid it out like a report, not a confession. I mentioned suspicious patterns on a corporate card tied to unauthorized hospitality with a specific client. I referenced dates, hotels, and potential exposure if those expenses were ever audited or leaked. I didn't use words like affair or cheating. I used improper relationship and liability. In the last paragraph, I wrote that I had documented evidence and was willing to share it in person, discreetly, to avoid reputational damage to the firm. I addressed it directly to Elena Hartman. Hit send. She replied in under 2 hours. Short, precise, professional. She agreed to meet at a neutral law office downtown the next afternoon. No company letterhead, no office address, just the name of the firm, a time, and a conference room number. When I walked into that room, I knew immediately who she was. Late 40s, maybe early 50s. Dark hair pulled back, tailored black suit, minimal jewelry. She sat at the head of the table like she'd been born there. 2 attorneys flanked her, one middle-aged man, one younger woman, both with legal pads in front of them. "Mr.?" she said. "Walker," I answered. "Mason Walker." No handshake, just a measured nod. "You said you have information." I sat, placed the dossier Ron compiled on the table, and slid it toward her. "Everything's in there. Expense reports, hotel bills, timeline, background on the client." She opened it, flipped the first few pages. Her face didn't change. The lawyers leaned in, eyes moving fast, pens starting to move. No one spoke for a full minute. Then she turned to the page with the hotel pattern. Then the charges, spa, dinners, suites. Then the marital status of her client husband. Only her eyes reacted, just a slight sharpening. "Your connection to this?" she asked finally. "Harper is my wife," I said. "For now." Silence again. She closed the folder, tapped it once with 2 fingers, and looked at me like she was weighing something. "Thank you for bringing this to my attention," she said. Her voice was flat, controlled, and somehow more dangerous than shouting. "It will be handled internally." "I'm not looking for anything from your company," I said. "I just wanted the truth in the right hands." She studied me for another beat, then nodded to the younger attorney. The woman reached into a leather portfolio, pulled out an envelope, and slid it across the table to me, along with a business card. "Consider this a token of appreciation," Elena said. "And that," she indicated the card, "is one of the top divorce attorneys in Denver. He clears his schedule for my calls. He'll do the same for yours. My recommendation will be strong." I opened the envelope just enough to see the number on the check. $50,000. "I didn't come for money," I said. "I know," she replied. Men who come for money ramble more. You came for order. She tapped the folder again. You've given me what I need. Now I'll do the same. I slid the envelope and the card into my bag. Not because I needed a payout, but because only a fool refuses clean leverage when it's handed to him. As I left that building, one thing was clear. This stopped being a private disaster the second my wife started stealing from a woman who never loses. Once Elena had the file, things moved fast. 3 days later, Harper's firm announced a routine internal audit of expense reports. That's what she called it over dinner. Routine, annoying, nothing to worry about. I just nodded and passed the salt. Behind the scenes, Elena's people were doing exactly what I knew they'd do. Lining up dates, card charges, hotel stays, and the complete lack of any actual business to justify them. Spa packages don't read well on spreadsheets. On the 4th day, Harper texted me at 10:17 a.m. They just called me into a meeting. This feels weird. 2 hours later, she walked into the house like someone had cut the wires holding her up. Eyes red, mascara smudged, no heels, just flats in her hand. She stopped when she saw me sitting on the couch, suitcase by my side, a neat stack of papers on the coffee table. Mason, she said, voice breaking, I need to talk to you. I know everything, Harper. For words, it was like hitting a switch. Her shoulders dropped. The performance died. She swallowed. What does that mean? It means, I said, keeping my voice even, I know about Garrett, the hotels, the 8 months, the company card, the investigation you just got fired in the middle of. She stared at me, blinking fast, scrambling for footing. It wasn't, Mason, it wasn't like that. It just, stop. She actually did. Mouth open, words stuck behind her teeth. I hired a PI, I went on. I watched you walk into a suite with him at the Grandstone. I've seen the timelines, the receipts, the texts. I gave the evidence to Elena. And this morning, I filed for divorce. She pressed her fingers to her temples. It was a mistake, she whispered. I was stressed, I was stupid, Sleeping with someone for 8 months and stealing 25 grand to do it isn't a mistake, I said. It's a pattern, and patterns have outcomes. Tears came then, fast and ugly. Please, Mason, we can fix this. I'll pay it back. I'll talk to Elena, we can go to counseling, just... No, I stood up, picked up the suitcase and set it upright. You have 72 hours to move out. My attorney will contact yours. If you're smart, you'll use the one Elena's about to recommend, because you're going to need all the help you can get. She stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Elena's not pressing criminal charges, I added. For now. She thinks losing your job, your reputation, and this house is enough punishment. The court won't be as gentle. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You're really done. I was done the second you looked me in the eye in this kitchen and lied about a vendor crisis, I said. Everything after that is just paperwork. I walked past her, out of the room, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was actually choosing my own life. People talk like fallout is instant. One big explosion and it's over. Truth is, it's slower, quieter, more precise. Elena's attorneys moved first. Harper's termination paperwork used phrases like gross misconduct, violation of corporate policy, and misappropriation of funds. No screaming, no drama, just signatures and a security escort out of the building. Her access badge stopped working before she hit the parking lot. Elena chose not to press criminal charges. I heard that through my lawyer. Her message was simple. Firing, blacklisting, and humiliation were enough. She wasn't interested in prison. She was interested in control. Harper lost her job, her reference, and her place in that corporate world in a single morning. Divorce court was a different animal. My attorney walked in with a gift-wrapped case. Documented adultery, financial misconduct, clean records on my side, and a paper trail that showed I'd been the one keeping our life steady. The affair wasn't just immoral, it was expensive and stupid. We settled faster than I expected. Harper's lawyer tried the usual lines. Long marriage, shared lifestyle, opportunity to rebuild. But you can't argue with receipts. I kept the house. 80% of our joint investments. My retirement is untouched. The judge looked at the evidence, at her termination records, at the affair timeline, and made it clear. She'd already cashed in her leverage when she used company money to fund her second life. When it was over, Harper walked out of that courthouse with a small settlement, some personal belongings, and absolutely no negotiation power left. A few months later, I heard she'd rented a small apartment across town. 1 bedroom, thin walls, cheap parking. She picked up an administrative job, basic hours, basic pay, nowhere near her old title. The couple friends we used to host quietly stopped inviting her. It's funny how fast people disappear when the shiny veneer cracks. Garrett didn't walk away clean either. Elena filed for divorce with a precision that bordered on surgery. High net worth, fault-based, relentless. She had the money, the attorneys, and the moral high ground. He had a suit and a smile that didn't cash the way it used to. He lost the house in Cherry Hills, a good chunk of his assets, and whatever status came from being Mr. Hartman. Word in the business circle was that his name became toxic, bad optics. He took a mid-level position in another city just to stay employable. No more handshakes in corner offices. Just a man starting over late in life, this time without a safety net. Me? I didn't slash the tires. I didn't send anonymous messages. I didn't waste nights stalking their socials. All I did was shine a light once and step back. The rest was just consequences for finding their targets. A year later, I don't live in that house anymore. I sold it 2 months after the divorce was finalized. On paper, it was a win, equity, profit, another line on the asset sheet. In reality, it was a mausoleum. Every room had a ghost in it. I wasn't interested in living inside a crime scene just because I owned it. Now I've got a smaller, modern apartment overlooking the river. Clean lines, simple furniture, nothing I kept out of obligation. Every item in that place I chose. No shared history baked into the paint. Life shrank in some ways and got bigger in others. I started traveling again, short trips, solo. National parks, small towns, places where nobody knew my name or my story. Picked up photography, something I dropped when the marriage got busy. Turns out, pointing a camera at the world is a good way to stop pointing everything at yourself. Friends I'd let drift started coming back into rotation. Guys' nights, hikes, quiet beers on weeknights. It was like reopening a toolbox I'd shoved in a corner. That's where Iris comes in. I met her in a weekend photography class. Mid-30s, history teacher, sharp eyes, soft voice, no performance. She asked real questions, listened to real answers, and didn't try to impress me with anything. The first time she laughed at something I said, it didn't feel like a transaction. Felt clean. Her honesty threw me at first. If she was tired, she said so. If she disagreed, she said that too. No games. No soft-focused version of herself. We started seeing each other. Slowly. Intentionally. Every now and then, someone mentions Harper in passing. Still renting, still job hopping, still trying to polish a reputation that won't shine like it used to. I don't feel much about it. Pity sometimes. Distance, mostly. Sitting on my balcony one evening, watching the river move, my phone buzzed. Iris, dinner? Her text read. I smiled, grabbed my keys, and locked the door behind me. In the end, it was simple math. She chose lies and borrowed money. I chose the truth and walked away. The real win wasn't what I took from her. It's the life I refused to let her ruin.